of our session today. The first is we've asked two folks to come present some case studies of organizations that are doing this shift, both strategically and tactically. A lot of your questions were about that and examples, and I know from experience in our community that people love practical examples. So I want to introduce Dan Sieradski, who's from Repair the World. He's infamous for being one of these Jewish tech guys, and has done a lot of things both in the organizations that he's worked for, JTA and now Repair the World, as well as a number of initiatives and ideas on his own without institutional structure. He did a blog last year. Is that just 1 year ago or 2 years ago?
January of last year.
January of last year, with an idea a day for a whole month, because he's got so many of these concepts in his head and not enough time to actually make them happen. So in the spirit of transparency and generosity, two of our rules from this morning, he just sort of put it out there for people to act on. So I think he's a great example of a thinker and a strategist as well as a doer. And he's loading up the fonts for his presentation as we speak. And so I will move forward to introduce Farrah Trumpeter from Big Duck, which is a consulting and branding firm based in New York City that works with a lot of nonprofits inside and out of the Jewish community. And she's going to be presenting a case study about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which has been one of their clients that she's been working with recently about how that transition has happened. I'm a big believer that we need to be looking at examples not only within the Jewish community, but also outside of the Jewish community. And so we very intentionally brought examples from one small and one larger organization, one newer and one older organization, and one from inside the Jewish community and one from outside the Jewish community, because we think that all of those parameters are important for our conversation today. Because we're running a couple minutes behind, I am going to strictly keep them to their 7 minutes that I told them, which might be painful. I apologize. And we'll save a couple minutes for some Q&A. Our next piece is going to be Rachel Wiedinger, who's standing in the back with a beautiful green scarf, who's here from TechSoup Global. And I was at a session she did last year at the N10 conference, which was about helping us solve all of our problems and find people and information and share knowledge, because there's a lot of that in the room. And it was tremendous fun and ridiculously productive. So we brought here today to give that gift to all of you as well. And I want to make sure we have plenty of time to do that activity. So, no further ado, Daniel.
Thank you, and good morning. And I may speak a mile a minute just so I can squeeze everything in. So I work at Repair the World, which is a new organization that seeks to inspire Jews of all backgrounds to dedicate their time and effort to the causes they're passionate about. Our official mission statement is that we seek to make service a defining element of American Jewish life. Essentially, Repair the World is a Jewish parallel to the Hands-On Points of Light Network, which is an organization that seeks to increase the number of Americans engaged in volunteerism and service. And so we do that within the Jewish community, primarily targeting 18 to 24-year-olds, but serving the broader Jewish community as well. Our essential mission is to promote service as a core Jewish value and as a viable and legitimate expression of Jewish identity, to increase the number of Jews engaged in volunteer service, the quality of their experiences and the impact of their efforts, to support and advance the field of immersive Jewish service learning, and to develop the volunteer engagement capacity of the Jewish nonprofit sector. Repair has only been online since 2009, and therefore it presented a number of unique challenges, particularly because as a new organization, it has been in a constant state of evolution. The goals and the vision of the organization shifted a great deal within the first year. And for me personally, there was a steep learning curve because I don't come from a background in the service world. I come from a background in the Jewish new media world, and therefore trying to understand the space in order to serve it most adequately took a serious amount of invested time in learning about the field and what the needs are in that community. Another challenge is that we address multiple constituencies. So as I was saying, our primary target is 18 to 24-year-old North American Jews, many of whom are alienated from the American Jewish community, and therefore it's hard to engage them with Jewish content generally. The second is that the Jewish service learning educators and practitioners community, trying to share best practices, to develop community among them and to see themselves as a movement and as a professional community. Jewish nonprofit professionals, we're trying to reach out to them to help them develop their volunteer engagement capacity, and that's a challenge because they're all overloaded and burnt out from the amount of work that they're already doing. And donors, board members, and other stakeholders also need communications from us, which are of a markedly different variety than that which we put out to kind of our consumer audience and then our practitioner audience. Another challenge is that we're trying to reach beyond the usual suspects. It's really easy to bring in all these traditional types who already engage with the Jewish social justice sector or Jewish service programs, but if you're trying to get people who don't generally engage with Jewish stuff or don't generally engage with social justice stuff to engage with Jewish service stuff, you're facing a very complex challenge. In addition to that, I serve Repair staff in my capacity as the Director of Digital Strategy, so I have to do the work on what Repair is doing itself in-house. In addition to serving 18 grantee partners, we're a foundation, so we have 18 and about to be 23 grantees that we serve as a community, helping them market their programs, helping develop their digital strategies. So I'm in service to them as well. Plus we have campus partners on 6 campuses right now, community partnerships, national partnerships, and all of those constituencies or groups that I have to serve. And then we have limited resources. Right now, our marketing department is a staff of 2, me and my assistant, and we have competing priorities for all the different stuff that has to happen in a day, and there's always exigent circumstances. There's always stuff that's just like happening that takes over and prevents me from doing the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing because it's also the stuff I'm supposed to be doing. So that's always a challenge. So facing those challenges, I was then tasked with having to build a brand. And so how do you build a brand? And this is the Lisa Colton affirmation moment, because everything that she just said is essentially what I'm about to say. You have to establish an identity, so you need to produce useful, relevant, engaging content and applications in order to produce that identity. You need to be able to show people what you're about. You need to establish a narrative by telling compelling stories. So one of the things that we do on our website is we profile people who have participated in immersive Jewish service learning programs, or people who are running the organizations that we work with, or young people around the country who are engaged in social entrepreneurship. So we're always trying to tell stories so that people can see themselves in the shoes of those people and say, I could be doing that. I could be repairing the world. I could be in Rwanda helping refugee children. I could be in Israel, helping recovery from, the Carmel fire, etc. So you want to help people see themselves in the shoes of I guess, you need to be the change you want to see in the world, right? So you need to show people what that change can look like and how they can be that change. Then you establish your expertise by aggregating the highest quality resources in the space. You want to be a tastemaker. You want to show people that you have good taste, that you know what the best material is, and that they can turn to you for guidance in that. You want to establish your presence by being everywhere that your constituents are. So you need to, if they're on Facebook, if they're on Twitter, if they're here, there, and everywhere, you have to be there too, so that whatever their place of connection is to the world through the internet, that you're there as a touchstone for them to reach out to. You establish your relationships through social listening by paying attention to what people are talking about online and reaching out to them. And if they're, for example, somebody's saying, I wonder what would be a good bar mitzvah project, a b'nai mitzvah project for my kid, somebody on Twitter can reach out to them and say, oh, I have an idea for you, and that's the basis of founding a relationship. You establish a professional network by communicating with others in the space and helping promote what they're doing. So we have tons of friends and fans on Twitter that we are constantly promoting the work that they're doing, and they're constantly promoting what we're doing, and that's developed a professional network so that we have relationships with the people in the space. And we've established trust by using open platforms, open source technology, and being open and transparent about who we are, what we're about, how we're using data, and so forth. We faced a lot of pressure to come out with a big splash. When we launched, have some big flashy marketing campaign, try to do some video with a celebrity, kind of like what AJWS did recently. And I pushed back really heavily against this, saying if we don't have content yet, if we don't have material to connect people to, if we don't have something for them to engage with, we're gonna blow our wad on this big campaign that's gonna drive people to an empty website for them to associate our brand with nothing. So instead, what we've been focused on is the slow build. And so in the course of the last year, we've basically launched a significant number of digital assets. WeRepair.org, which is our flagship website, has basically blog content being generated on a daily basis about our grantee partner programs or about things that are happening in current affairs and connecting people to service opportunities around those events. So for example, with the Japan earthquake, how can people in the Jewish community get involved to try to address that issue? Those are the kinds of things we're posting on a daily basis. I have 2 minutes left, so I'm racing.
Or just pick and choose.
So we have a newsletter that goes out to 17,000 people every month. We have our Jewish service search engine, which is the first search engine for Jewish service opportunities. It's a national database, and we encourage, if you, on your way out, you can grab a card with more info about our search engine. So if you have volunteer opportunities at your organization, I strongly recommend you add them to our database. Our Twitter account is very popular because it is a great source of information for social entrepreneurs, young activists, and people who are trying to do social justice work in the Jewish community. We have a video series up on Vimeo and YouTube. We have photo galleries of service trips on Flickr. We have a branded vertical on Juicy.com. We have content going up on the Huffington Post. And so we're trying to be wherever our constituents, our potential target audience can possibly be. If they're on Vimeo and they're on Flickr and they're on YouTube and they're on Juicy and they're on Huffington Post, we want to be where they are and connecting them with relevant and engaging content. We also recently launched a new site called Repair Labs, which is basically a resource library for practitioners and an event space where we'll be doing online webinars for training people in volunteer engagement strategy. And we just launched Repair Jobs, which is a jobs board for Jewish communal service. We'll be launching our Repair Labs newsletter soon as well. So you can see we're doing a lot of different things, trying to reach a lot of people across a variety of platforms, and it's just me and one other person doing it right now. So the result is, in the first 30 days online, we had 2,700 unique visitors to our website. Now we're averaging in the vicinity of around 5,000 unique visitors, so we basically doubled our traffic in the course of the last year. That may not seem like a very impressive number, but if you total up for the number of unique visitors for the year, 32,000 people who never heard of us before have engaged with our brand and stayed on our website for an average of 2.5 minutes apiece. That's rather significant. We've also had 4,230 new email subscriptions in the course of the last year. We had an inherited list that we got from the the Jewish Coalition for Service, which was an organization that predated us. We absorbed their mailing list. So we started with 13,000, which was nice, but we've increased that number by 4,000 in 1 year. 1,200 Facebook followers, 765 Facebook fans. And so basically what we've done is we've managed to establish ourselves as the go-to place for service and volunteering in the Jewish community, and all of that was done essentially through social media, because we have not done any significant advertising, we have barely done any events, we've barely had any press, we've really been kind of low-key for the last year as we've been figuring ourselves out as an organization, and just through word of mouth, we've managed to attract that much attention. So 1 year out, now that I've been at this for a while, our organization has a clear, focused mission and sense of its priorities. I have, in my own professional self, a greater exposure to and understanding of the needs and behaviors of both the field and our target market, so I know how to serve them better than I did a year ago when I came up with all of these ideas. And I have greater clarity about the most significant challenges and weaknesses in my strategy, so I know what I need to do right next. And therefore, my next steps are to do a new iteration of our website that puts greater focus on our grantee partner programs and develops more content for those outside our target demographic. We're going to be launching seasonal and passive ad campaigns to just grow traffic for the site and drive people to those service opportunities. We're going to be doing a new iteration of our search engine to make it even more user-friendly and to integrate it with FedWeb, which is a platform being used by Jewish federations and other nonprofit organizations around the country. And therefore, we hope that that will increase its rate of adoption. And we're going to be hiring an intern and volunteer army, basically, to go out and be shaliachs and shadchans, that is, outreach specialists and matchmakers, to help find people who are looking for service opportunities, to match them with the right opportunities. And then once we have all those pieces in place, big splash campaign, because then we finally have something. When people come to our website, they go, this is freaking awesome, and I want to be a part of this. So the takeaways are: be agile, right? Be nimble, because things are always changing and you never know what's going to be happening. Your organization's objectives and missions could be changing on an ongoing basis. Be open in theory and practice, meaning be open to new ideas and be open in the way that you approach your work, but also use open technologies and be open and transparent in the way that you deal with your constituents. Be realistic, meaning 32,000 Jews is actually a significant number. We're only 2% of the American population. Only 50% of that number even cares about anything Jewish. And even within that segment, 20% is Orthodox and probably doesn't care much about what we're doing. And then like another segment of the population is just completely alienated from the social justice scene. So, that said, 32,000 is an impressive number, whereas you might be going, yeah, but you should have like 500,000 or 1 million. That's not realistic. And then expect failure, right? You're going to fail. As Rabbi Levi Lauer once said to me, the most worthy tasks are the ones in which you're destined to fail. So expect failure, anticipate it, prepare for it. You're going to fail. And so you must iterate and reiterate and reiterate. You need to be in an iterative process, just like Lisa said, constantly reevaluating yourself, where you're at, what you're doing, and nimbly shifting to adapt to the changes that you're experiencing. So, thank you.
Thank you.